Welcome back. Top pro-Beijing figure Rita Fan says some people may not like to see universal suffrage become a reality in Hong Kong. Meanwhile, pan-democratic lawmakers are being urged to accept the central government's invitation to visit Shanghai next month. Members of the pan-democratic camp have yet to decide on whether to make what's described as the ice-breaking trip. Some who worry there won't be meaningful discussions have said they want to meet central government officials during the visit. LegCo President Zhang Yuxing said today he's happy to pass the message on to Beijing. But Zhang added that since there's still time between now and mid-April, it's most important that everyone makes an effort to try to reach a compromise to see how to make the most out of the opportunity. National People's Congress Standing Committee member Rita Fan called the invitation a rare opportunity to find common ground on how universal suffrage can be achieved in Hong Kong.
The best way is to talk to each other and try to understand each other's position. And then from there on, hopefully, something more positive can evolve. So even if they don't go, every one of them, I hope they will send representatives so that at least the message or the contents of the conversation may be related back into Hong Kong, into their political group or party.
Fan also said today some government officials and lawmakers may not want to see Hong Kong achieve universal suffrage. She wouldn't name names, but suggested perhaps some pro-democracy lawmakers have been using the fight for democracy to gain public support, so they would lose their leverage if democracy is indeed achieved. Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Raymond Tam insisted that all members of the government are dedicated to achieving universal suffrage in Hong Kong by 2017. He believes Fan's remarks are directed at members of political parties, not government officials.
Well, next we look at the controversy involving the University of Hong Kong Public Opinion Programme. There are fresh claims tonight that its polls are misleading, but as Vicky Kong reports, the pollster in question has dismissed the allegations.
In the latest survey released by the University of Hong Kong Public Opinion Programme on Tuesday, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying had a score of 47.5 points. But how the pollsters came up with that figure has now sparked controversy. According to the raw data, of the 1,000 people interviewed, more than 60% gave him a passing score of more than 50. Among them, 4.8% gave the C a score of 90 to 100. At the other end, about 10% rated him at 0 to 9. Altogether, that's an average score of 47.5.
If you just give a mean, I think we can't understand the full picture, and also in some cases will be misleading. About 10% of the respondent give 0. It will make the mean much lower than a normal distribution situation.
Earlier, CPPCC Standing Committee member Peter Lee accused pollster Robert Zhong's studies as being biased and unfavorable to the government.
This time, Professor Chung released all the raw data at its database, at its website. So we can use this raw data to calculate what I said as the mode, the medium, and it helps us to have a full picture.
Still, Zheng, who's also an executive counselor, pointed out that the data could only be accessed by the professional statistics software SPSS. The public opinion program hit back.
I think using the average score or the mean score is already the professional academic standard for really releasing all these ratings. In our releases, public releases, we actually also give the standard error and also the sampling errors for each of those ratings. So we are already taking one step forward more than the basic standards.
The university also plans to make public all raw data it collected in previous surveys. It said it will do so in phases. Vicky Kong, TVB News.
The government has set aside $50 billion for the voluntary health insurance scheme. A large sum would be used to help non-profit private hospitals. Rachel Leung reports.
To ease the pressure on public healthcare services, the government is allocating $50 billion for its voluntary private health insurance scheme. The aim is to encourage those who can afford to get treatment in the private medical sector. A consultancy report released earlier suggested that $5 billion be injected in a pool to cover those applicants who are considered high risk, such as the elderly or the chronically ill. As for the remaining amount, Secretary for Food and Health Ko Wing-man said today the government is considering offering loans to non-profit private hospitals. Hopefully that would help lessen the burden of public hospitals in the long run. Ko said if bed spaces run out at private hospitals, patients will end up having to go to a public hospital, which will put more pressure to public health services. He reiterated that the voluntary insurance scheme will help strike a balance between Hong Kong's public and private hospitals. Ko hopes a concrete plan could be unveiled at the end of an upcoming public consultation exercise. Rachel Ling, TVB News.
Overseas again, day 10 of the Oscar Pistorius trial ended with potentially damaging testimony for the prosecution and further embarrassment for police. During testimony from the first police officer who arrived at the scene, it emerged that a valuable watch had vanished from the home. The officer said everyone in the house was searched, but there was no sign of the watch. The overall credibility of the investigation could prove crucial to the outcome of the trial. The man known as the Blade Runner denies the premeditated murder of his girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp, last year. Tributes are pouring in for British Labour Party politician Tony Benn. He died yesterday at the age of 88.
He was an extraordinary man, a great writer, a brilliant speaker, extraordinary in Parliament, and a great life of public and political and parliamentary service. I mean, I disagreed with most of what he said, but he was always engaging and interesting, and you were never bored when reading or listening to him. And the country has lost a great campaigner, a great writer, and someone who I'm sure whose words will be followed keenly for many, many years to come. So a sad day for British politics.
Ben is best remembered for his left-wing and socialist views. He held cabinet posts in Labour governments in the 1970s and complained later that Tony Blair's new Labour was out to destroy old Labour. All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
Yep, we've got football to start off with, to kick off with, in fact. It's all over between English Premier League club West Brom and striker Nicholas Anelka, who announced last night that he quit.
And that's the news. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
Good evening. The weather was mainly cloudy today. It was cool in the morning. And as tonight's situation chart shows, the northeast monsoon continues to affect the coastal areas of Guangdong. Up to 7 p.m., temperatures range from 14.7 to 17.5 degrees, and the relative humidity was between 52 and 85%. Moderate to fresh east to northeasterly winds. The current temperature is now 16 degrees Celsius, with the relative humidity standing at 63%. A trace of rainfall has been recorded since midnight. The fire danger warning is yellow and the fire risk is high. So Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow? It will be mainly cloudy tonight, sunny intervals tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 16 and 20 degrees. There will be sunny periods in the next couple of days. Tomorrow's air quality health index is forecast at low to high. The maximum UV index forecast for tomorrow will be about 6. And here's the latest global weather update. Cloudy in Shanghai, Taipei, and Xiamen. Cloudy in Guangzhou, sunny in Chengdu. Cloudy in Beijing, sunny in Seoul, cloudy in Tokyo. Thunderstorms in Bangkok, showers in Manila. Showers in Kuala Lumpur and Jakarta. Bright in New Delhi and Karachi. Cloudy in Cairo. Sunny in Brisbane, showers in Sydney and Melbourne. Sunny in Toronto. Rain in Vancouver, sunny in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Sunny in London, cloudy in Paris and Amsterdam. And that's the weather. Have a lovely evening.